Second race of the day for the Disklok RGB Championship. Pole position goes to John Cutmore, with the race 1 winner, Al Bolton, alongside him on the grid. Second row is Mittel and Higginson. Best of the front engine cars again is James Walker, but 2 rows behind him, Steve Bell has made it onto the grid this time in the Arion. Red lights are on then, they go out, and we're underway here at Snetteton. And Paul Rogers there trying to find a gap that isn't quite there between the car in front and the pit wall, so I think he has to back out of that one a little bit. Can Bolton get into the lead? Yes, he can, from around the outside, on the outside of row number 2, and a good start in the front engine class has been made, I think, by Steve Bell, because I think already he's got ahead of James Walker there. Around Montreal they go for the first time then, mainly Spires, but you've got the Mittel MC52 and the Contour mixed in right at the sharp end of the field as well, and a bit more variety the further you go down the rear of the order as well, especially into the front engine class. A few different shapes and sizes of car there. Look at this though, a great lead for Alistair Bolton, former stock catch racer already. Down to the left-hander Agostino with a few car lengths in hand over Cutmore. No, it's Higginson, I beg your pardon, in second place. Cutmore third, Scott Mittel in fourth, but the 40-year-old from Tewkesbury, software engineer Al Bolton, leads the race in the Spire GT3 with the Honda CBR 1000 engine. He leads the way then. It's the ex-Matt Green Spire that is raced by Al. It's also one that famously won a bike sports race at Anglesey a couple of years ago in the hands of the fantastic Tim Gray. So top 4 with Mittel, the rear gunner in that group, heading down towards Brundle and Nelson for the first time, and Cutmore and Mittel get close into Brundle, not as close as they did on the last lap of race number 1, however, which is probably just as well, because that ended up in contact and it gifted the win to Alistair Bolton on that occasion. Looks like Duncan Hall there is in 5th or 6th position, and there's the Class F battle. That just went through short quite quickly there, and it did look to me as if it was Steve Bell ahead of James Walker. To Murray's then for the first time. Higginson second, Cutmore third, and Mittel in fourth, but already you can see by all of that Alistair Bolton is pulling away in the lead of this race. Mittel at the rear of the group, a double low-cost champion a few years ago, switching to RGB 3 seasons ago now. It's really been an exciting development project for Scott and his father. And it's good to see them taking on the Spires, and Mittel goes through into third place there, down the inside of Cutmore at the Montreal hairpin. Nice clean move that from Scott Mittel. Oliver Hewitt, I'm afraid, looks as if he's heading into the pits at the end of his first lap, so although Oliver did make it to the end of race 1 in a very creditable 14th position, his second race is going to be a non-finish. So Mittel third, Cutmore fourth. They've just lost a little bit of ground though to Matt Higginson, who came into this round of the championship in the lead in Class R, but James Walker was leading the Class F and the overall championship with 51 points. Matt had 50, so very tight indeed and a long way to go. We've had 5 races in the championship now, and there's 9 to go. And there is Duncan Hall in 5th place, just ahead of Paul Rogers in 6th. Paul, who had to back out really at the start to avoid getting squeezed into the pit wall. David Whale it is in the yellow and black Spire that goes through in 7th position. Duncan Hall there in only his 2nd season of racing. Paul Rogers more experienced though, but goes wide, just as I'm commenting on how experienced he is. So he knows the Snetterton circuit well. It's only just up the road for him, so no doubt he's probably more familiar with it than most of the other drivers out there. New bodywork for that car of Paul Rogers for this season. Our start line marshal spotted something that needed picking up off the track. Now there is our front engine class leader. Now Steve Bell, I'm not quite sure why he wasn't out in the first race in the Arion, but he's there now, and he's got Robert Gardner between himself and his front engine class rival, which is James Walker, who's won 2 of the 5 races so far this season. James Walker, the 49-year-old from Datchet in Berkshire, a chartered surveyor by occupation. He's a director with one of the major London-based house builders. He has a Suzuki-powered Tim Gray Motorsport Phoenix. That's the car right there, number 13, for the driver that started racing in RGB just about a decade ago now. He's had class wins at Mallory Park in the past. His nephew is Oliver Bryant, the professional driver in the British GT Championship, also often to be seen in historic racing as well. Ooh, and that's a big lock up there for Matt Higginson, and it allows John Cutmore to go through up into third position. So we've got Bolton leading, Mittal second now, and Cutmore third, and Higginson down to fourth place. I think Walker is getting a bit closer to Steve Bell now. They're both behind Robert Gardner in that number 84 car, the Spire GT3, but our front-engined contingent are together as off goes the next car in that group. And that's Adrian Moore, isn't it? Number 68, I'm afraid to say, has clattered the barriers there, the AB Sabre for the driver from Peterborough. And so he looks to be out of the race, I'm afraid. Joining Oliver Hewitt on the retirement list as the last lap board now is displayed to the leaders as they go through. Paul Rogers has made it up ahead of Duncan Horler now, and David Whale in the Spire is trying to do the same. Both of them in the Spire GT3s, the cars built by Paul Nightingale's Derbyshire-based concern, which really have become the car to have in the rear-engined class. But there's a big impetus now to try and push the front-engined division as well. We're seeing very good racing actually in both divisions this season. And here is evidence of that, because it's Bell and Walker almost nose to tail as they went through Murray's that time's about 2 car lengths as they come off the corner now. Up the straight they go. I think Walker's close enough to pick up a tow from Steve Bell's car. He's going to go to the left hand side of the circuit now. He's going to draw alongside as they head up towards Rich's corner. This is just outside the top 10 at the moment, but it's the battle, more importantly, for the lead in Class F. Points are scored within each individual class, so it's not the overall finishing position that matters, it's how you do within your class. And Steve Bell at the moment is on course to take maximum points as far as Class F is concerned. James Walker's doing everything he can to try and change that. Walker, who won race number 1 as far as the front engine class was concerned. As far as the rear engine class is concerned, it looks like it's going to be 2 wins today for Alistair Bolton, doesn't it? If it had gone another lap or so this, I think Scott Mittal might have caught him, because we saw Scott come on really strongly towards the end of the first race. Whether his car is just set up so maybe it looks after the tyres a bit more and it comes into its own later in the race, I don't know. But he's been catching Al Bolton here in these last couple of laps. But John Cutmore is setting a great pace as well, and he's had a very good last lap to get back onto the tail of Scott Mittal. Higginson looks like he's going to finish in 4th place, but the checkered flag goes out. 2 wins today for Al Bolton. Mittal second and Cutmore third, and there's barely a second covering the first 3 cars. In the background now you can see Higginson crossing the line in 4th position. But a good race that, and good to see Al Bolton having his 2nd win of the season, already matching his tally from 2013. They're still at it in the front engine class. James Walker, number 13, just behind the number 86 car of Steve Bell. Opportunities running out though. Oh, he's going to have a look at Quorum. That's an unlikely place to make a move, but James Walker, his eyes have lit up and he is going through on the inside. That though is going to give him the outside for the left-hander at Murray's. Now if Bell puts his car in the right position, yes, he's more or less done that. Walker had to sort of back out of that. Car got a bit sideways as a result. He's lost momentum, and Steve Bell is going to come up to the line to take victory in Class F here at Snetterton. But James Walker in the end only 0.2 of a second behind. They've had a very enjoyable race there, and you know what, I'm not sure James Walker will mind being beaten too much, because he's had a good race there with a highly delighted Steve Bell. Here are the results then. Alistair Bolton taking the win only by 0.6 of a second in the end from Scott Mittal. Cutmore on the last lap got the fastest lap of the race. In 7th place was Duncan Horler. He lost out in the end to David Whale. Tony Gaunt, Calvin Rawls and Robert Gardner completed the top 10. Well, Al, 2 wins in the day. That's the stuff dreams are made of, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm very happy with that. I'd almost given up on the championship after the last 4 rounds, last 2 sessions, but 2 wins today is fantastic. Dead chuffed.
And this time it was sort of getting the lead from the off, wasn't it?
Yeah, I got a good start along with John. I think we were kind of neck and neck. I had a bit of trouble getting into 2nd gear, so we just pulled ahead a tiny bit, just a couple of feet. And as we turned into whatever the first corner is, I think he kind of let me go a little bit. I think he didn't want us to kind of clash, which is very good of him. And then into the second corner, I think he made a mistake. That let me get a bit of space. Yeah. And then I was just telling myself, qualifying laps, don't look in your mirror. And that's all I could think of doing, just be as smooth as possible.
So, I mean that's good, isn't it? We're getting towards the halfway mark in the season, and now you're just feeling, it's sort of getting back on track a little bit.
I can't believe it's halfway already, yeah. Yeah, I was down to 6th in the championship, so I'll see what happens after this weekend.
So, Steve, good to see you out in the front engine class that time, but what a great race you had with James.
Yeah, absolutely great. All credit to him and Tim Gray. The car's fantastic. It's very difficult to drive with. I give it 110% just to keep up with him there. And it really was a matter of, our next couple of laps. So I was glad I kept it together, and it's a good race.
Of course, we didn't see you out in the first race. What happened there?
Unfortunately, in qualifying, we got a wheel bearing failure. Just, one of them things that just happens, and that was it. It put us out. We were only literally 2 minutes away from finishing it, but they'd already set off, so we couldn't join in the first race, which was valuable to me because that's points for the championship as well.
Well done, Steve.
Thank you.
Thanks.